Welcome to Romance Story Audio. In the midst of this fast-paced world, thank you for taking a moment to slow down and listen. We hope this brings you peace and comfort. Now, here is the story Romance Story Audio brings to you today. Please enjoy. I never expected that when my rival and I joined the same reality TV show, we'd both randomly draw a speak from the heart question at the same time. The host asked us to share our honest thoughts about Prince Lucas North. My rival, the elegant actress Hannah, smiled sweetly and replied, "Lucas and I grew up together, childhood sweethearts. What else is there to say?" The internet exploded with cheers and blessings, wishing them a lifetime of happiness. And me? I quietly hid the wedding ring on my left ring finger, the only proof of my marriage to Lucas, and simply said, "We're not close. We don't really know each other." But as soon as I finished, Lucas stood up and raised his left hand to show the wedding ring to the camera. "Not close?" he asked. "Then what's this?" "Emily," he said, looking right at me. "You liar. Didn't you promise you'd find a chance to tell the world about us? It's been 3 years. I can't wait any longer." Later, I was invited to join a travel show. The moment I got off the plane, Lucas, the Prince of North Kingdom, tried to help carry my luggage. But I coldly refused. That clip spread like wildfire online. "Who does Emily think she is?" The prince offered to carry her bags, and she turned him down like she's royalty herself. Please, she probably thinks playing hard to get actually works. That Emily girl is so fake, always trying to be the victim and the heroine at once. Disgusting. I sighed. If I told the world that the love confession post from a few days ago, the one people saw before it was deleted, was actually written by Lucas himself, would anyone believe me? After I found it and deleted it, he held my hand with tears in his eyes and whispered, "Babe, when will you finally go public with me?" "Not yet?" "Okay. I'll wait a bit longer. I don't mind. It just makes me a little sad, that's all." You see, I had signed a contract with my agency. No public relationships for 3 years. The penalty for breaking it? Tens of millions in damages. It's not a small matter. They say the company's boss is someone even Lucas doesn't dare cross. If I break that rule, my entire career would freeze over. No more acting, no more future. As I was lost in those thoughts, Hannah suddenly appeared beside us. She handed Lucas her purse and said in her sweet voice, "Lucas, would you carry this for me?" Without hesitation, he reached out to take it. The screen lit up instantly with comments. "Oh, now I get it. He wanted to help Hannah, not Emily. Helping Emily was just a cover. He didn't want to be obvious." Totally relatable. I once bought bubble tea for a guy I liked, so I got a cup for everyone just to play it cool. Could this be secret love? Word on the street is that Prince Lucas and Sweet Hannah have been childhood sweethearts. Help me. Should I be shipping them or not? But no one saw this coming. The moment Hannah let go of her handbag, Lucas immediately pulled his hand back. The bag dropped straight to the muddy ground, soaked from the rain. Hannah froze. Lucas," she stammered. Lucas casually took a sip of mineral water and said coolly, "That bag's too heavy. I got a cramp. Can't carry it." Then he added without missing a beat, "But I can help pull Emily's suitcase." As he drank, he kept winking at me like crazy, as if to say, "Babe, did I do good?" There was a flicker of awkwardness on Hannah's face, but she quickly tucked her bangs behind her ear, laughed it off, and bent down to pick up the muddy handbag. In a syrupy, sweet voice, she said, "Lucas, remember that time when we were kids and went hiking? I dropped my bag in the mud too, and you said the same thing. So annoying. You were just being lazy. My bag was super light and you knew it." Classic green tea girl performance, right on cue. Then, in front of the cameras, she actually walked over and tried to take my suitcase. "Emily, you're what? 2 years younger than me, right? Thank goodness Lucas reminded me. As your big sister, I should be taking care of you first." Her fan base jumped in right away. "That's our Hannah, beautiful and kind." Even after Emily stole so many of her acting opportunities, she's still so sweet. Then came the online theories. Guys, Lucas is obviously setting up a heartbreak arc for Emily, putting her in a pink fantasy bubble just to burst it later. Brutal but iconic. Totally! I feel like he's about to go public with Hannah any second now. I gave a dry smile. Not only did I hand over my suitcase to her, I unhooked my heavy hiking backpack and gave her that too. Together, the weight must have been over 40 kilos. I'd been dying to ditch them for ages. Hannah clearly didn't expect my luggage to be that heavy. Her smile froze for a second as she clenched her jaw and took them. "Emily, what on earth are you carrying?" Then, right there on camera, she unzipped my backpack and dumped everything out. Still keeping up her nice girl act, she chirped, "We're going to be hiking later, so we need to lighten our loads. I'm just helping you sort through the unnecessary stuff." Lucas moved lightning fast. Out of nowhere, he pulled out a waterproof picnic blanket and spread it across the muddy ground. "Good thing I'm here," he said. "Now her stuff won't get dirty." The camera slowly zoomed in, capturing the scene in perfect detail. Scattered across the blanket were sunflower seeds, peanuts, macadamias, candied fruits, chocolate, a mini oxygen tank, wet wipes, self-heating hot pot, instant rice, and enough snacks to feed a small army. Suddenly, I was thrilled. This bag? Lucas packed it just for me. Every single thing inside. My favorites. Truly, the nation's husband lives up to the name. And now? He won't stop glancing at me. I swear, if Lucas were a dog, his tail would have wagged itself off by now, just waiting for me to say, "Good boy." The host, quick to sense drama, jumped in at the perfect time. "Hannah's right," he chimed. "For a hike, it's best not to carry too much. How about this? Why don't you two help each other reorganize your bags?" Before I could say a word, Hannah eagerly chimed in. "Sounds good." She unzipped her backpack and handed it to me. "Emily, would you mind helping me out?" As I opened it, I froze. There wasn't a single useful item inside. Instead, it was all photos of Lucas. She picked each one up like a treasure, proudly showing them off. "This one's from when Lucas and I went hiking in the snowy mountains as kids. And this one's from when we rode horses together on the prairie. And this was at Lake Erie when we watched the sunset." I stopped listening. Silently, I gathered the stack of photos, walked over to the trash bin the crew had set up for the show, and tossed them in. Hannah gasped, tears immediately welling up. "Emily, what the hell are you doing?" She rushed over, frantically trying to retrieve them. I looked at her coolly. "What use are these? At best, they'd help start a campfire after dark." And just like that, the live comments exploded. "OMG, what a total batch! Who throws out someone else's stuff like that? I swear, I hope Emily gets what's coming to her. Bet those snacks were all just for show. Trying to act like a quirky foodie, please? Even her snacks are outdated. Those were trendy 5 years ago. Pathetic. Poor Hannah. Don't cry, girl. Burn Emily's stuff too and call it even." Right then, Lucas crouched down. He gathered up all the snacks that had spilled out of my bag. Peanuts, candies, dried fruits. Stuffed them back in like he didn't care how messy it got. And then, under the stunned gazes of the crew and live stream audience, he picked up my bag, marched toward the trash bin, and with his other hand, pulled out a lighter. The comment section went nuclear. "That's it! Prince Lucas has snapped!" Emily's about to get roasted. Literally. Finally! Burn that homewrecker stuff to ashes. Best episode of the season. No notes. "Hannah, don't cry. Please lift your head. Can't you see? Prince Lucas is defending your honor." Or so everyone thought. But in reality, Lucas clutched my backpack tightly in one hand. And then, right in front of everyone, the cameras, the host, the stunned crew, he bent down and picked up Hannah's photos. Without hesitation, he lit them on fire. Flames crackled as the pictures curled into ash. His voice, cold and sharp, sliced through the silence. "These might be barely good enough to start a fire. That's about it." The whole set fell into a dead hush. The live stream chat, silent, even Hannah, frozen like a statue. Wait, what? Why didn't he burn Emily's stuff? OMG, those were their childhood memories. Why would he do that? I don't get it. Is Lucas actually in love with Emily? No, this is just Lucas being manly, showing off, right? Honestly, though, it kind of felt real. Is it just me, or does it look like he doesn't really respect Hannah at all? There's no way he'd like someone like Emily, right? Right? Hannah's eyes welled up. Her face was pale with disbelief. Lucas, those were our memories. I've cherished them for years. How could you burn them like that? Lucas didn't even blink. He turned to her and replied, voice ice cold. I don't owe you an explanation. A single brutal sentence. Arrogant. Final. Then he turned to me. If he had a tail, I swear it would have been wagging so hard the earth would shake. His face beamed with pride, like a knight awaiting praise from his queen. I couldn't help it. A laugh escaped me. It came out a bit awkward, sure, but watching Hannah so thoroughly humiliated, I honestly couldn't hold it in. What's she laughing at? Who does Emily think she is? She's heartless. Hannah's in pain, and she's over there grinning like it's a game. Ugh. I hope Emily gets what she deserves. Poor Hannah. All she wanted was love, and now she's being treated like trash on live TV. And then it happened. Hannah suddenly snapped. Desperate, she grabbed Lucas's arm with both hands, tears pouring down her cheeks. Lucas, please, did I do something wrong? Tell me, I'll fix it. Please don't leave me like this. Lucas's face darkened. It was the look of someone who just burned their hand on a hot pan. He yanked his arm away, hard. And honestly, I understood that feeling all too well. Jealousy over someone as shameless as Hannah, not even worth the energy. Lucas trailed behind me like a kicked puppy, clearly still rattled. I stuck to the show's script and said to the camera, up ahead is the campsite. We'll be living here for the next 3 days. I smiled faintly. I'm used to camping. Back in college, Lucas and I went all the time. Hannah, of course, jumped right back in, all giggles and nostalgia. She tugged on Lucas's arm with a sweet little laugh. Lucas, remember when I got bitten by that snake? You carried me 10 miles to the clinic. You almost passed out too. I still get emotional every time I think about it. I glanced over and smiled faintly. Oh, that happened too? How touching. Lucas, however, shot her a cold look, like she was little more than background noise. It wasn't until later that I truly understood. In times of chaos, being too kind just gets you killed. If I kept living like some saint, I'd deserve whatever came to me. Hannah's smile wavered. She tried to play it off. Ha ha. Lucas, you always know how to joke around. But Lucas didn't even reply. He picked up the supplies and walked off to pitch his tent. Alone. Hannah followed close behind, practically heel to heel with him. Let me help you, Lucas, I scoffed under my breath. Shameless, truly. Meanwhile, I made myself comfortable in the soft sand, enjoying the scenery. The view was lovely. Someone else was setting up the tents. Snacks? Check. Drinks? Check. What more could I want? But of course, the internet had something to say. Ugh, look at Emily just sitting around while others do the work. No shame whatsoever. Hannah is the real MVP. Hardworking, humble, kind. Yeah, Emily should take notes. This is what class looks like. Still, why is Hannah clinging to Lucas like a used Band-Aid? He's clearly not into her. Girl, let go. Excuse me? She's being friendly. It's called being warm-hearted, you backwater trolls. Soon, Lucas's tent was up. It wasn't great, but it stood. Meanwhile, Hannah's was still completely flat, like a squashed dumpling. She forced a smile. Oops! Guess I'm a little rusty at this. Lucas, could you help me out? Lucas let out a tired sigh, his face showing more irritation than concern. No. Then he turned to me, and for the first time all day, he smiled. Need a hand with yours? He asked. I shook my head politely. No thanks. Your tent looks so bad it's almost tragic. I think I'll handle mine. Rested and ready, I grabbed my tent kit and got to work. Less than 10 minutes later, done. Lucas wandered over slowly, voice low and dramatic. I kinda want to stay in yours instead, he said, gazing at it longingly. How come yours looks like a cozy home and mine looks like a sad burrito? I glanced at his half-collapsed dome tent, which somehow didn't even have a door. Where's the entrance? Lucas scratched the back of his head and laughed sheepishly. Forgot to put it in. So, I guess I'll have to jump in through the top. Then he tugged my hand gently, whispering, Babe, Emily. Can you help me fix it a little? I wrapped my arm around his waist in one swift motion, firm, deliberate, a warning. Watch that mouth, Lucas. You almost called me wife out loud just now. So I ended up fixing Lucas's tent. Everything, straightened, secured, tidy. At that point, the only tent still in chaos was Hannah's. She fumbled with the poles, struggling like she had two left hands. It was honestly painful to watch. When she finally looked up, her eyes were glassy, rimmed in red, shimmering with perfect little tears. Lucas, could you help me? She said, voice trembling. I really don't remember how to do this. Textbook damsel in distress, complete with glistening lashes and a pout. Lucas frowned, then stepped behind me and whispered near my ear, Babe, can I just kick her tent over and be done with it? I didn't look at him, just played with my fingernails and muttered through clenched teeth. Be my guest. Go help her. I want to see what else this little clown can pull. Grudgingly, Lucas walked over to assist. Why do I feel like Prince Lucas always waits for Emily's reaction before doing anything? You're not the only one. I swear he reads her face before he blinks. No way. He wouldn't be that whipped by someone like Emily. Poor Hannah. She's the real victim here. Emily knows how to set up a tent, but doesn't even lift a finger for another girl? Wow. Cold, ugh. Emily being Emily, just like always. Finally, all the tents were up. Per the show's rules, we'd be living out here for 3 whole days. Sounds simple, right? I looked over at Hannah. Not only did we have to survive the wild, now I had to put up with her too. The tents the crew handed out were ridiculously small. Basically, oversized sleeping bags with zippers, barely enough space for a change of clothes. I had no choice but to pitch another tent just to store the food and water. Lucas walked over, sweat dripping from his forehead. It was midday, and the heat was unbearable, at least 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Behind him, of course, Hannah was still trailing him like a heat-seeking missile. She glanced at our stash, a few snacks, a couple of water bottles, and tilted her head thoughtfully. That's not gonna last 3 days, she said, half to herself. I laughed out loud. Oh, it'll last. She blinked at me, clearly skeptical. 3 packs of instant noodles, a few bags of chips, 3 bottles of mineral water. That's all. Her eyes screamed, You're joking, right? I turned and looked her dead in the eye. Did I ever say you had a share? I tilted my head and stared her down. If it's not enough, eat your photographs. Lucas burst out laughing, unable to hide the amusement in his voice. Hannah, meanwhile, turned crimson, both from shame and rage. We're on a show together, she snapped, voice shaking. Aren't we supposed to help each other? Why are you isolating me? I simply nodded, calm and unapologetic. Hannah was speechless. Tears spilled freely as she collapsed onto the ground and sobbed. Loud, dramatic, ugly. Emily, you beach! How could you treat someone like that? The show said bring your own food. No one told her to pack a shrine to Lucas. At least Lucas carried someone's bag. All she does is cry. I watched her sob for a moment, then spoke quietly. If you're willing to actually work, I'll share what needs to be shared. She looked up slowly, eyes swollen and red. Work? Like, what? I pointed toward the tree line. Go gather dry grass and kindling. We'll need a fire. 3 days of eating cold food isn't an option. We need hot meals, hot water. She blinked. That's it? Simple stuff, I said. Hannah hesitated, glancing nervously at Lucas. Her voice went soft. Are there bugs? What if there are snakes? Lucas, can you come with me? Before he could even open his mouth, I cut in. He has other tasks, and you, stop stalling. This is your responsibility. Do it right. Hannah scowled, stood up with a stomp, then stumbled slightly as she turned to leave. She shot me a death glare before stomping off into the woods. As soon as she disappeared from view, Lucas ran over like an excited Labrador. His eyes sparkled. Any missions for me, Captain? This man was 6 feet 3 inches, all lean muscle and enthusiasm, grinning like a teenager. Honestly, I had no idea what species he belonged to. Fine, I said. Find a sharp stick and come back with 2 fish. If not, check under the river rocks. Maybe some crabs or river prawns. Lucas lit up and laughed. Yes, ma'am. Reporting for duty. Mission accepted. With both troublemakers assigned tasks, I got to work on the big stuff. There were plenty of dry branches from lightning-struck trees, perfect for burning. I even collected some large stones and arranged them in a circle. In the center, I stacked the wood. And just like that, our survival campfire was ready. Luckily, I'd packed a lighter. Otherwise, I'd be out here rubbing sticks together like it was prehistoric times. All that was left was the dry grass and fibrous kindling Hannah was supposed to bring back. Wow, didn't expect Emily to be this good. She actually knows wilderness survival. Pfft, so what? Just a few party tricks. Anyone can build a campfire. Doesn't mean she's special. Let them talk. I was just getting started. Wait a second, someone commented on the live stream. This is just like survival mode in a video game. Is Emily secretly a real-life survival expert or something? No one's worried about poor Hannah? She's a delicate girl, and they sent her off alone into the woods for firewood? What if she got hurt? I can't even imagine. Moments later, Lucas came back, completely drenched, water dripping down his sleeves. In his hand, a huge fish. His face was glowing like a kid who just got an A+. Mission complete, he beamed. Emily. Oops. I shot him a look that said, You're 1 second away from calling me wife again, aren't you? But then my expression shifted. Wait, why isn't Hannah back yet? Before the words had even finished leaving my mouth, a blood-curdling scream rang out in the distance. Lucas and I immediately ran toward the sound. There she was, frozen in place. Face pale as a ghost, eyes locked on the ground in front of her, where a snake coiled menacingly. As soon as she saw us, she bolted, straight toward me. But anyone who spent 5 minutes learning survival skills knows, you don't run from a snake. Standing still is often your best chance of staying safe. Running just makes things worse. And the most infuriating part? She knew that. She ran toward me on purpose, trying to drag me into danger. Emily! Lucas shouted, diving in front of me. In one clean motion, he drove the sharpened spear down. The snake stopped moving instantly. Before I could even open my mouth to yell at Hannah for her little stunt, she had already thrown herself onto Lucas, sobbing like a child. Lucas, I was so scared. I thought I'd never see you again. It was so horrible. I reached out and shoved her off him. You're hugging the wrong guy. Get lost. You're bad luck. Hannah blinked in shock, stood frozen for a moment, then turned to Lucas with trembling eyes. Why did you run toward Emily? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. His expression darkened instantly. I tugged on his arm before he could explode. Let it go, I whispered. Where's the firewood she was supposed to get? Hannah fidgeted. I didn't find any. The forest was too scary. I didn't dare go deeper. Even Lucas frowned at that. At this point, calling her a burden would be generous. How dare you treat our Hannah like that? Hope your whole family has bad karma. That girl almost got Emily killed. Open your eyes. She's useless, totally useless. She brings nothing but problems. You people don't understand. Hannah has never done hard labor in her life. Even if she just sits there doing nothing, she's still 10 times better than Emily. I rolled my eyes. Her fans really lived in another universe. Then, as if trying to milk her last ounce of sympathy, Hannah limped pitifully over to Lucas again, face flushed. Lucas, I know you still care. Thank you for saving me. Lucas's face darkened even more. He clenched his jaw, clearly holding back words. I could practically feel the rage simmering under his skin. I quickly pulled him away. Come on, let's go gather the firewood ourselves. Soon, we'd collected an impressive pile. Back at camp, I cleaned the fish skillfully and skewered it over the fire. No seasoning, no fancy spices, nothing gourmet about it. But still, food caught and cooked by our own hands tasted better than anything money could buy. Surprisingly delicious. That fish was nearly a whole kilo, and it was gone in no time. Hannah, who had done basically nothing, got a quarter of the fish, a pity portion. She licked her lips and gave me a hopeful glance. Emily, is there any more? It was really good. I'd love a little extra. I gave her a deadpan look. Maybe you should go catch one yourself. Before she could answer, she glanced nervously at Lucas. Lucas, maybe we could go catch another one together? Lucas stood up immediately, spear in hand. If Emily's still hungry, I have to get more for her. Hannah's face went pale. She forced a tight, awkward smile. She clearly wanted to clap back, but didn't dare. Emily, why don't you go catch something for once? Everyone else is working while you just sit there grilling fish like a princess. Sure, my reply was a little cold. But this was survival. Days pushing 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and nights dropping to the low 50s. You let your body get too weak, and you're down with a fever before the first night ends. I stood up and smiled. All right, how about this? Whoever catches their own fish tonight gets to eat. Lucas nodded eagerly. Great idea, let's do it. Hannah hesitated, clearly not a fan of this plan. But after a long pause, she huffed, rolled up her sleeves, and stomped off. I smirked, then turned and headed in the opposite direction. Lucas went for the shallow water, where his spear would be most effective. I headed toward the rocky stream to hunt for crabs and freshwater shrimp. Luckily, all those hours playing survival games finally paid off. I wasn't half bad. I crouched down, flipped over stone after stone, and scanned carefully. It took more than half an hour, but the haul was better than expected. A good handful of crabs and shrimp, plenty for a meal. Right on cue, Lucas returned. 2 big fish skewered on his spear. What about the other one? I asked. He shrugged. We'll deal with it later. Let's cook these first. We sat together by the fire, quietly roasting our catch. Far from the chaos of the city, it was strangely peaceful. I peeled a shrimp, tasted it. Soft, sweet, buttery. Then, I picked one up and fed it to Lucas. Wow! This is really good, he said. Emily, you're amazing. I glared at him playfully. You planning to announce our marriage in France or something? We ended up finishing 5 crabs, 6 shrimp, and 1.5 grilled fish. Bellies full, I suddenly frowned. Hannah's still not back. The second I said it, a scream tore through the air. I sighed and stood up. Here we go again. Lucas rushed ahead. We found Hannah flailing and shrieking, tears in her eyes. 2 large crabs had clamped onto her butt. Firmly. I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing, loud, uncontrollable. Were you trying to catch dinner or be dinner? God, I'm gonna die from laughing. Emily's mouth is lethal, but she's not wrong. What even is this situation? Seriously, only Hannah could turn a survival trip into a full-blown comedy show, and she still had the nerve to scream, "What are you laughing at? Help me!" I took one look at those 2 crabs still clamped firmly to her backside and couldn't help but flinch. Yeah, that looked painful. Okay, hang on, I said. Try not to move. I'll get them off. I reached down and grabbed the first crab. Deep breath. Yank! A scream shattered the silence of the forest. Hannah passed out on the spot. Both crabs were still hanging on, their claws tightly gripping what remained of her pants. Lucas turned away immediately, face bright red, desperately trying not to laugh. I tossed the crabs at him, then dragged Hannah back to camp and threw her into her tent. Fingers crossed she doesn't end up traumatized enough to, do something drastic over a pair of pants. Because let's be honest, that was a disaster, live streamed in front of half the country. I can't believe what I just watched. Thanks for the content, Emily and Hannah. That was gold. Emily, you went too far. Too far? She literally saved her. If anything, it's karma. I clapped my hands. Whew, that's enough drama for one day. Then I crawled into my tent. Eyes open, heart calm, no regrets. The morning sun peeked gently through the flap of the tent. Emily! A shriek so loud it jolted me awake. I crawled out, still half asleep, only to find Hannah standing there in a fresh pair of pants, glaring daggers at me. Emily! She fumed. You've gone too far. I swear, But she stopped short. She stood there awkwardly, clearly still in pain, wincing every few seconds from her battle wounds. I burst out laughing again. A second later, Lucas crawled out of his tent, rubbing his eyes. Both of us froze when we saw the third tent's flap rustle, and a child poked his head out. Is that a kid? Yeah, Lucas said casually. Showed up last night while you two were sleeping. He kept sneaking into my tent, so I just grabbed him and let him snuggle in. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lucas glanced at Hannah, then grinned. Looks like your butt learned a lesson, huh? Hannah forced a smile, but the pain was all over her face. So, you do care about me, right? Lucas turned away without saying a word. Justice served. I live for these moments. Girl fights are top-tier entertainment. Hannah really thought that would work, huh? Prince Lucas caught a wolf pup? That's insane. Wait, really? Kinda looks more like a dog to me? No, for real. The ears are different. He's even adopting it as a pet now. This is wild. Imagine if they raise it until it's grown. I'd die of happiness. Now it was the three of us. Well, 2 people working, 1 person eating. Not that she'd be any more helpful, even if she weren't injured. Fair point. For the next 2 days, Hannah didn't leave her tent. Lucas and I finally had some peace. Food wasn't an issue either. Surprisingly, the little wolf pup was incredibly helpful. It could catch fish faster than Lucas, and even sneakily swapped Lucas's fish into my pile. Lucas ground his teeth in frustration every time he saw it. I'm literally losing to a dog, he muttered one night. I didn't need to bring food to Hannah anymore. The wolf pup did it all, although by the time it got there, sometimes all that remained was a fishbone dangling from its mouth. This wolf has more survival instinct than Hannah. 3 days flew by. The mission was nearly complete, and it was time to move to the next location. Hannah had finally recovered enough to walk without limping. We packed up our tents and prepared to leave. The wolf pup let out a few soft yips as if to say goodbye. Hannah knelt beside it, clearly attached. Ah, can we bring him with us? He's so cute. I raised an eyebrow. Well, yeah. Who else is gonna deliver your meals? Her smile froze. Wait, what? Those fish that showed up at your tent? That was him. Lucas and I both nodded solemnly. Hannah gasped, one hand flying to her mouth, eyes wide in shock. The wolf was feeding her like she was a baby bird? We left the wild behind and arrived at a famous tourist destination, full of food, shops, and fun activities. Finally, real food again. According to the producers, the final challenge was a haunted house, one of the most famous horror escape attractions in the world. Not your average Halloween maze. People had reportedly been carried out after breaking down halfway. Not walked out, carried out. "I'm not scared," I said casually. "Lucas will protect me." And then there was Hannah, clinging to Lucas like nothing had ever happened. Face straight, eyes locked on him, no shame whatsoever. Clearly, she had learned absolutely nothing. Honestly, I couldn't even be bothered anymore. Say what you want. Hannah had suffered enough. And besides, I'd already made up my mind. Once this show ends, Lucas and I are going public. That haunted house? It was no joke. The last time I went with some friends, I was frozen stiff in fear. The only reason I didn't faint was because my brother was there, holding my hand the whole way through. This time, Emily the villain and Hannah the sweetheart were about to walk straight into hell. Can't wait to see Prince Lucas get scared stiff for once. Lucas bought 3 tickets. The wolf pup was handed off to staff for safekeeping. Then one of the crew came over and blindfolded us with thick black cloth. Total darkness. I couldn't tell who was next to me. I wasn't even sure if there was anyone next to me, just the guide. Doors creaked open and slammed shut behind us, echoing through the halls. Then a voice came through our earpieces. "You may open your eyes now!" I removed the blindfold. Pitch black. So dark it was almost suffocating. I didn't dare move. My eyes struggled, barely picking up faint red and green blinking lights, like dead eyes watching from the void. It took nearly 5 minutes for my vision to adjust. I was locked inside a sealed room. The walls were covered with faces, not real ones, but sculpted, warped masks of human expressions. It made my skin crawl. Then, "Ah! Lucas! Help me!" Hannah's scream shattered the silence. Girls got no shame. "You call yourself the pure first love and act like this?" And then, "Emily? Where are you?" Lucas's voice called through the dark. "I'm here," I replied. That's when the voice returned in our headphones, this time laughing. "Only by solving your own room's puzzle will you escape. Fail, and you'll be trapped here forever." I took a deep breath. All right, let's do this. There was a padlock, 6 digits. I flipped through the papers on the desk, scanning names and birth dates, then matched them with dates carved next to the faces on the wall. Before long, I cracked it. Click. The door swung open. Emily's actually amazing. Meanwhile, Hannah's probably hyperventilating in a corner. Imagine seeing a room full of faces right when the lights come on. No wonder she's screaming. One of the crew whispered from behind the scenes. "Wow! First one out! Didn't expect that." She unlocked the haunted house like it was a game. "Congratulations," a voice said. "You're the first to escape. You may now rescue your teammates." Almost instantly. "Emily, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. Please save me." Hannah's panicked voice echoed through the halls. "I'm terrified of the dark." I sighed, deeply. Of course. Finding her was easy. All I had to do was follow the sound of her screeching. Her room was clearly meant for the delicate. The door couldn't be opened from the inside, but outside. Just one big glowing button. No puzzle, no riddle. Just push and go. Even a toddler could escape. The moment I hit it, Hannah shot out like a cannonball. Mascara streaming, cheeks blotchy, hair a disaster. "Thank you, Emily. But just so you know, I'm not giving up Lucas." I looked at her calmly. "Then go back in." Before she could react, I shoved her inside and locked the door. This time, even if she solved the puzzle, she wasn't getting out. Damn! Emily doesn't play around. That was cold, but fair. You don't repay kindness with a declaration of war. Outside her room were a few buttons. One activated creepy whispers. One triggered flashing lights. Another made pounding door noises, like something was trying to get in. Naturally, I pressed them all. Because why not? Inside, the screams began immediately. Ghostly wails, strobe lights, the sound of something crawling. Even I jumped, and I was standing safely outside. Then came Hannah's shrieks. "Ah! Stop! Please!" And finally, silence, She probably fainted. Whatever. I went to find my man. Lucas and I reunited at the checkpoint. "Baby, are you okay?" He ran over to hug me. I dodged casually. "I'm fine. Let's finish this." The final rounds were trickier, but they gave more clues. Together, we made it through. At last, we stepped through the final door. A burst of light hit us like a resurrection. The camera crew and the host were already waiting. "Congratulations on completing the challenge." "Now," the host smiled, "it's time to receive your secret reward." Lucas didn't look particularly interested. To be fair, very little ever caught his attention. The MC brought us over for a short interview, all cheerful and bubbly. As soon as the wolf pup heard my voice, it bolted toward me, barking excitedly. It leapt into my arms and curled up, calm, content. "Oh," the MC cooed. "He clearly doesn't want to leave you two." "So sweet," someone murmured. "I've always wanted a pet like that." "Wolves usually live in packs," the host explained. "This one must have been abandoned. If you let it go back into the wild, it won't survive." Suddenly, "Wait, we're missing someone." "Where's Hannah?" "Oh no. She's not still in the haunted house, right?" I died laughing on the spot. Even the MC went pale. They quickly sent a team to retrieve her. Moments later, Hannah emerged, foam at her mouth, eyes rolled back, being wheeled out on a stretcher. This show is insane. Emily is iconic. Hannah never stood a chance. I'll never look at haunted houses the same way again. No one asked any more questions. All that was left was the final interview. Suddenly, the host noticed something. "Wait, Emily, are you wearing a wedding ring? Are you engaged?" I glanced at Lucas. His eyes were glowing, full of hope. Quietly, I slipped my left hand behind my back and replied calmly, "We're not close. I don't know him." The words had barely left my lips when Lucas shot to his feet. He raised his left hand high, flashing an identical wedding ring under the lights. A perfect match, shining, clear, undeniable. I'd later hear about how her life fell apart. After the truth went public, Hannah's fans turned their backs. Anti-fans attacked viciously. Her career collapsed overnight. Unable to stay in the entertainment industry, she turned to live streaming. But even there, every session was flooded with hate until she had to cut the feed. Even her moderators couldn't save her. So today, she came here to apologize. Maybe because she had no other choice left. But I didn't push her any further. Some stories simply have an ending. Let it end. Let it go. The past stays in the past. And the future? It begins here. In the middle of this noisy, chaotic world, sometimes all it takes is one person beside you to feel peace in your heart. The end. You've been listening to Romance Story Audio. Love stories, tangled fates, and endings that matter. Follow our channel to hear more unforgettable stories, only on Romance Story Audio.